Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Old Men in Chairs, my 105th episode here on YouTube, not counting the two that were taken down. This is actually my second attempt to react to Tom's Dirty Money. Like I normally do, I kind of raced to do a reaction right after the 12 noon release on Friday, but my heart really wasn't in it. For one thing, I didn't have my partner here. My friend Dave has been on vacation this week. Although I was very familiar with the song, having bought the albums, and I love the song, I was kind of taken aback by the imagery here. I didn't really see it at first for what it is. Only after watching other reactions was it pointed out to me that a lot of that stuff laying on the ground all around Tom is $100 bills. I saw the $100 bills later, but I didn't make the connection. To me, it just looked like, random debris in front of a destroyed White House. But in fact, it's mainly greenbacks, dollar bills, $100 bills. I decided, not to go forward with that version and to try again. And also, I wanted to reflect a little bit after 1 year as a music reactor. I guess I'm a grizzled veteran now. We actually started with Tom MacDonald over a year ago with In God We Trust. At that time, I said it was reflection, not a reaction. And that's really my strength, I think. I'm not a very good reactor. I'm not very good seeing something the first time through and understanding it. I have to let it simmer, marinate. And then I can point out maybe some of the things that other reactors are missing. In the case of the money here, I think the message is, to me, money is destroying the country. But at the same time, money is losing so much value that we will get to the point where it won't be worth it to bend over and pick up a $100 bill because it won't be worth anything. It'd be like Weimar Germany when they had wheelbarrows full of money to buy a loaf of bread. The reckless manner in which our government is spending money is going to doom our economy, doom our civilization. And this is post-apocalyptic view of, after that's happened, we no longer have a functioning government and we will no longer have a functioning currency. Let me do a verse and then I will reflect a little bit more on some things that I see that I have not yet seen other reactors point out, and some reflections on what it means to be a reactor and the challenges that we face.
They're angry that they'll never shut me up. I'm making more noise. Turn me up or turn me down, it's your choice. Black lives only matter when they got a corpse to exploit. Cause the media made millions off the protests for George Floyd. That's called ad revenue. They make cash selling you all the crap in the ads while they broadcast news. Ooh, the network full of liars got investment capital and segments sponsored by Pfizer. Okay, so at the very start, he takes aim at the news media and he points out that they only really care about Black Lives Matter when they've got a body like George Floyd that they can exploit and get people fired up, and that means ratings. And that's sensationalism has been going on most of my life, so that's really nothing new, but people keep falling for it. I find when anything major news story breaks, I turn off the television. I don't watch the television at all anymore, but when I did, I would turn off the television because the initial reports are almost always wrong and sensational, and then wait 3 or 4 days and they might, I emphasize, they might get around to tell you what actually happened, but you're much better off just going to written sources that are, not in it for the money. And then he talks of the fact that so much of the news media is subsidized by selling ads and sponsored by Pfizer, he points out. And this is the issue that probably got Tucker Carlson in hot water, because he pointed this out a few weeks ago. So many of the ads that are being, subsidizing the cable news are big pharma. For that reason, you can't say anything, but positive things about. So you really lose all objectivity as a news reporter, once you've entered that deal with the devil. And what a lot of people maybe don't realize, because it doesn't get reported again very well, is that the federal government was giving these big news channels huge amounts of money, but requiring them to promote the vaccine and not
tell anybody any objective reporting about it. So already I probably violated the number one rule of YouTube. I probably have to do an edited version of this one on Rumble. But that's where we are today. You're not told what's going on because big moneyed interests are controlling what's allowed to be said. And you can't even mention it in my small little YouTube channel or your video will be taken down. Now he's going to go on from here to talk about many other examples of dirty money, money that is being made off of war and prisons and other things. So we'll go through a few of these, and then I guess at the end I'll talk a little bit about how this all works for the reaction.
The network full of liars got investment capital and segments sponsored by Pfizer and the freedom fighters. I feel like the left just plants them to infiltrate the right. It's extensive planning, then it happens overnight. It's impressive branding, make $1 million off of shirts that say let's go Brandon. It's a cash grab, everyone's a lab rat. Amazon made billions of dollars from sanitizer and black mass, and that's that. Funny how the terrorists who attack always come from places that are oil rich and have gas. Democrats, they don't give a damn. What is this about? Our military trapped in the Middle East, can't get them out. Heroes are the ones who had the Constitution written down. Y'all are using hero while describing Kyle Rittenhouse.
I'm going to come right out and say I don't agree with Tom's view on Kyle Rittenhouse. He's dissing him here a little bit. I think the kid had the best of intentions, in the middle of all those riots to show up with a gun and protect property. I mean, we saw mostly peaceful riots where they were burning the towns down. And I think, thank God for Kyle Rittenhouse that he got up and tried to stop it. Now, in the end, he was chased by a couple thugs. In self-defense, he protected himself. One fella got killed. That's too bad, but he was in the process of trying to hit him over the head with a skateboard. I don't blame Kyle one bit, and so I don't really agree with this dissing of Kyle. I think I know, Tom does that. Every now and then he wants to throw a bone to the other side of the aisle. Although in general, he's loved by conservatives, so he can afford to do something like this. Because the line before, he said, "What the hell's the matter with the Democrats? They can't get our soldiers out of the Mideast, and they don't care." In a way, it's balanced, but I thought it was a cheap shot.
Heroes are the ones who had the Constitution written down. Y'all are using hero while describing Kyle Rittenhouse. 1 cent, 2 cent, 3 cents, 4. We get less and they get more. By insult since we were born. They want money. We want dirty dollars.
I don't want more. I understand the feeling that we're in a situation where civil war may be the only answer. Hopefully we can solve this by cleaning up our election process. War would not be the answer. It would be horrible, but even worse than our first civil war. When Tom says we want war, count me out, at least for now.
So since we were born, they want money. We want dirty dollars, fill their pockets while our coffins fill the ground. They make profits, solving problems they create to keep us down. Dirty money.
Nice bling there. He looks good on there. Maybe we'll have Tom on a $100 bill someday. By that time, the $100 bill will be worth about $1, unfortunately. This is a point that Tom has made originally back, was it Fake Woke or one of the early songs in 2020 where he says, they create the problems and then they profit from solving the problems. This is what got me so excited about Tom 3 years ago. I still love Tom. I'm not dissing Tom. The message has been out there, and what has changed? We've gone from bad to worse, in many, many ways in this country. And I'm not necessarily discouraged by the whole thing. I think we need to have an alternative to YouTube where we're not censored and we can say what we think. This is a theme that he keeps hammering away at, but as yet, not very many people understand that the people in charge are creating our problems intentionally to keep us controlled, to keep us divided. That's the big one. Keep us divided on racial lines, keep us divided on gender lines, keep us divided on all sorts of different things so that we're more and more atomized. I just read a very interesting blog this morning before I came on here, all about how we have an epidemic really of loneliness. People are atomized. People are divided from their friends and even their family. And this is all by intention as well. If we weren't being censored, YouTube is a great media because it does help you find communities of people that think alike. The people that follow Tom MacDonald, for the most part, are people that I agree with. And so by hooking up with a hangover gang, find people that share some of your interests. And so the internet works in that direction, but at quite a cost of division in the general society.
They make profit solving problems they create to keep us down. Dirty money. Dirty money. I don't want your dirty money. They might kill me for the song, it's all classified intelligence. Don't need to go to war to secretly be getting benefits. When Russia launches rockets, we condemn them, but there's evidence a US politician owns the screws they're assembled with. Ain't no war on drugs, it's economic. You make money off an inmate, every jail cell is profit. Our prisons are privately owned, illegal marijuana just mean kids smoking weed turn to dollars in their pockets, let's be honest. Domestic threats in comparison to nuclear powers who hate the West is embarrassing. Still we label truckers in a convoy as terrorists and confiscate donations, we have no idea where it is.
Yeah, that's a bad one that's going on up in Canada. It's really disturbing. And they just passed a censorship bill for the internet. Of course, we're not very far away from that in this country. That whole thing that happened with the truckers and then freezing the bank accounts of anybody that dared to support them with a small contribution. This is really Big Brother at its worst. And of course, he mentioned, the military-industrial complex where, war is great business. And I don't know if it's actually true that we have American manufacturers contributing parts to Russian military equipment, maybe through a third party, but I think it's that we make money on war. And that's a sad truth that, was very much behind us getting into the Vietnam War, and is very much behind us being involved in the Ukraine War.
Still we label truckers in a convoy as terrorists and confiscate donations, we have no idea where it is. A pipeline leaks, price of gas goes higher, stock market crash, everybody gets fired. Economy is weak while we trying to beat a virus. $1 trillion in debt to China.
And of course the interesting thing is this record actually, the song came out in November, I'm not sure when it was recorded. It's almost like, even with his last song, End of the World, it's almost like he foresaw, the economic conditions that we're living with now, with the bank failures, inflation, and people losing their jobs, and a big looming recession. Of course, not that hard to see all that coming. It's the logical conclusion of very, very bad policy. Give him a little credit for being ahead of the curve on it. And $1 trillion to China, I don't know if it's $1 trillion to China. We got $30 trillion in outstanding obligations and growing so fast it's hard to even keep track of it. China probably in for more than $1 trillion.
Economy is weak while we trying to beat a virus. $1 trillion in debt to China. We celebrate the smallest battles we're winning, so they can publish the headline that's gonna fuel division. But if we champion the crumbs, then it's crumbs that we're given. And we don't make any progress, we're stuck at the beginning. 1 cent, 2 cent, 3 cents, 4. We get less and they get more. By insult since we were born. They want money. We want dirty dollars fill their pockets while our coffins fill the ground. They make profit solving problems they create to keep us down. Dirty money. Dirty money. I don't want your dirty money. Not enough soap to scrub, it's soaked in blood. It's all about the money, 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 money. Every time we make a buck, they take from us. It's all about the money, 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 money. The dollar runs our lives until we die. It's all about the money, 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 money. It controls your mind and it controlling mine.
Well, at least he admits that the money is controlling his mind as well as everybody else's mind. It's all about the Benjamins. You got to have money in this world to live. You got to have a place to live. You got to have food on the table. You got to have electricity to run your computers, and you got to have computers and phones so you can get online and be part of the master hive mind. Even Tom needs money, but Tom doesn't need it quite as bad as a lot of other people. He's done pretty well with it.
Money, 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 money. It controls your mind and it controlling mine. $30 fill their pockets profits while our coffins fill the ground. They make profits solving problems they create to keep us down. Dirty money, dirty money. I don't want your dirty money.
Nice job again by Nova. Okay, so I want to give you a little peek behind the scene of how it works to be a reactor, because I was totally unaware of how it all works. YouTube does have a very, very good statistic analysis of your videos. And on your screen, I'm showing you the stats on a recent video that I did, Tucker, his speech at the Heritage Society. And just to kind of orient you to what you're looking at, there's 450 total views since I released that a few days ago. And the chart in blue below that shows you over time how those views were accumulated. So if you look, it starts at 0. That's when the video was released. And at first, it had a few people that I guess followed me and watched it. And then there was kind of a lull there for the first 5 or 6 hours. And then all of a sudden, there was a huge number of views for about a 6 or 8 hour period there. That's where the blue line goes almost straight. A little gray shaded area is a typical video. So this video did very well for about the first 12 hours. Why did that happen? And then you can see it reached about 400 views, 420 views, and then it almost flatlined. And it's had very few views. And right above my head, you can see the views for the last 48 hours. And all those little blue bars are when it was being promoted. And then it's almost flatlined, almost no views in the last 2 days. So how did that happen? Why did that happen? Well, if you click up here on the reach, this will show you how YouTube was promoting the video. Overall, they've promoted the video with 7,600 impressions. And of those impressions, like you see it, on your screen, upcoming video, wherever, or they serve it to you on a search, 4.7% of the people click through and watch the video, which is an average percentage. Not bad, not great. So you can see that this almost mirrors the previous chart, because the greatest number of views were all in that 8 hour period in the first day, when they went, from way down here, 1,700 impressions. Within 6 hours, they were at almost 7,000 impressions. But then, since that time, they've only given like 500 impressions in the last, 2 days. So your video is viewed basically when YouTube promotes it. And then as soon as YouTube stops promoting it, you're not going to get a lot of views. Now, what I found is that the period during which YouTube will promote your video also varies widely. This is one of the shortest ones I've seen, 8 hours and then you're done. Typically, you get more like 2 days of promotions and impressions, and then they flatline you. I've been in this reaction game for over a year now, and we're coming up on about 75,000 total views for all the videos I've done. Just the top 5 of those have been more than half. So about 38,000 views on 5 videos, and then only 37,000 or less on the other 100 videos. So you can see that the average video, taking out the top 5, will get about 350 views. Now, I have some that have 18,000, I have one with 8,000, a few with 4,000. So it is possible for a small reactor like myself with less than 1,000 subscribers to every now and then, catch algorithm somehow, explode through and overcome and exceed what YouTube is doing for you. And some of the best examples of that actually are my Bob Dylan reactions. I have one that's in the top 5 now, Brownsville Girl, that continually gets 20 to 30 views a day after many months. So I'm not really even sure how or why that happens. And maybe somebody has it linked somewhere. I've had trouble figuring it out. But it's also true of some of the other Dylans. In general, the Dylans seem to do pretty well. Obviously, none of those Dylans really are reactions because I've known Dylan, for 50 years, so almost 60 years. So I'm very, very familiar with all his work. And so when I do a video about one of his songs, I'm not reacting to it for the first time. The reason I'm showing all this is to say that the reaction game is not really a moneymaker for the vast majority of music reactors. There may be a few at the very top of the food chain, that are making good money. Most people struggle. It's not really about how many subscribers you have. Like I said, you can have a small number of subscribers, but if you get a good video, you can do well with it. But, sustaining that, on average is difficult. As I mentioned at the very start, I used to get very excited when Friday noon rolled around and a new Tom MacDonald video was coming out, hoping to catch that wave, of all the hangover gangs coming to check out all the reactions on Tom's latest song. I caught it once with the system, but in general, it's getting harder and harder to catch that wave because there's so many other people out there trying to do the same thing. I think there's probably already 100 reactions to the song that Tom released yesterday at noon, and it's not even 24 hours. And in the next day or two, there'll be another 100. So you're in there, competing against a couple hundred other videos. It's very hard, to be noticed and to get traction, which is okay. I'm not in this for the money, and I don't think anyone should be in it for the money. I'm in it because I enjoy doing it, and hopefully I'm spreading the music that I enjoy, the truth that people like Tom MacDonald are telling, spreading that to a wider audience. And that's what reactors can do. There's a few artists that understand that, and they have come and personally thanked me for doing the reaction. I've never yet had Tom, but of course Tom is so big and has so many people reacting to him that you probably can't get to them all. Chris Webby's been on my page a couple times. Upchurch said a nice thing about one of my reactions. Natasha Owens sent me an autographed CD of her work. It's the first time I ever got any bling out of this. It's a little discouraging to try to hit that Tom MacDonald hangover gang wave on a Friday afternoon. And I notice a lot of people have kind of dropped out and aren't even doing Tom MacDonald anymore. Maybe because they weren't getting the response that they wanted. Or it could be that they're afraid to react to the subject matters that he covers. Like I said, I'm going to have to edit this video and take a couple things out, before I can put it on YouTube. The full video will be on Rumble. Under the current regime, the way they're censoring people, with an election coming up, it's going to get worse. Robert Kennedy, I'm not a Democrat, but I admire the guy for the courage of what he's doing to tell the truth, or to try to tell the truth. But anybody that promotes him, as Tucker Carlson did not long ago, is taking their career at risk. I don't have a career in YouTube. I don't care. If they throw me off tomorrow, I'll still be on Rumble, and I'll probably still do what I'm doing. Tucker lost a pretty sweet deal there, but he'll be okay. He'll land on his feet. I'm not worried about Tucker. But I'm just pointing out that you will be removed from YouTube. You will be removed from Fox News. You will be removed wherever they can remove you if you mention certain sensitive topics. So welcome to the world of Reaction 2023. Hang on to your hats. It's going to get interesting.
Holding in the way, that's what I heard them say. They used to eat